Some stories in golf are wrapped up too neatly, made to look shiny enough for primetime television. But behind the perfect fairways and polished smiles, there's another side the sport doesn't like to show. Addiction, betrayal, scandal, careers and lives collapsing as quickly as golf swings fall apart. These aren't the moments you see in highlight reels. They're the whispers traded in locker rooms, the headlines buried in tabloids, and the truths networks prefer to leave untold. Because while golf likes to call itself a gentleman's game, its darkest stories prove that even on the brightest greens, shadows are always there. These are the stories too dark for ESPN. Anthony Kim. Anthony Kim came into golf with a mix of skill and confidence that made him stand out. By the age of 25, he had already won 3 times on the PGA Tour, and many people thought he would be a star for years to come. But in 2012, he suffered an Achilles injury that changed everything. After that, he stopped playing and seemed to disappear from the spotlight. There were rumors that he had taken a big insurance payout, which he would have to give back if he ever played professionally again. Kim never spoke about it, and for years, hardly anyone saw him. When his name later popped up in talks about a new golf tour, fans became even more curious. His long silence left people wondering what really happened and why he never came back. Robert Allenby. Robert Allenby made headlines after a strange and troubling night in Honolulu. He was seen with a bruised and bloodied face and told reporters he had been kidnapped, beaten, and robbed after leaving a bar. At first, the story sounded clear and shocking. But as police looked into it, things became less certain. Witnesses gave different versions of what happened, and security cameras showed events that didn't fully match his story. Police did confirm that Allenby was attacked and robbed, but they never figured out exactly how it all started. Some people felt sorry for him, while others doubted his account. In the end, the incident left more questions than answers about what really happened that night. John Daly. John Daly burst onto the golf scene with a major win and a personality that fans instantly connected with. He was known for his incredible driving power and his laid-back, everyman attitude that made people cheer for him. But behind the cheers, Daly faced serious struggles with drinking and gambling. He openly admitted to losing huge amounts of money through betting, and his drinking often led to suspensions and even hospital visits. His journey shows how fame can make personal struggles even bigger, and how the person fans see on the course can be very different from the one behind the scenes. Despite it all, many fans still love him for his raw honesty and talent. But Daly's story is also a warning that even superstardom comes with a heavy price. If you're enjoying these hidden stories from golf's darker side, hit the like button, share this with a fellow golf fan, and don't forget to subscribe, because the stories ahead only get more shocking. Phil Mickelson. Phil Mickelson has always been one of golf's biggest stars, with huge endorsement deals and constant attention from the media. But his image grew more complicated when reports linked him to insider trading investigations and heavy sports betting. In one famous case, Mickelson made money from a stock tip that came from a gambler who was later convicted. Mickelson paid the money back and was never charged, but the situation raised tough questions about how money, influence, and friendships affect athletes at the top. While news outlets covered the basic facts, the deeper story of how money shapes choices in sports was rarely explored. Tommy Gainey. Tommy Gainey, known as Two Gloves, became popular for his simple style and underdog story. But in 2019, his career took a sharp turn when he was arrested, along with more than 100 others, in a prostitution sting in Polk County, Florida. The operation was set up to fight trafficking and related crimes. Gainey later pleaded no contest to a misdemeanor and was given probation. The fall was quick and painful. News outlets and social media focused heavily on the shocking headlines, but few looked deeper into the personal or social struggles that lead people to make risky choices, or the lasting effects such events have on their lives. Patrick Reed. Patrick Reed's golf career has always carried controversy. During his college days, incidents eventually led him to leave his team, and stories about cheating and theft followed him even after turning pro. On the course, Reed has delivered big performances and proven himself as a strong competitor, but his relationships with fellow players and officials have often been rocky. These clashes have shaped his image, making him one of the sport's most debated figures. His story shows how mistakes and behavior early in life can follow someone for years. and how reputation in the public eye can sometimes matter just as much as results on the course. Tiger Woods. Tiger Woods' 2009 car crash opened the door to a scandal unlike almost anything a sports star had faced before. The accident uncovered details about his private life, including multiple affairs, a very public divorce, and time in rehab for personal struggles. Big sponsors quickly pulled away, and his carefully built image collapsed almost overnight. Most of the media focused on the drama and scandal, while fewer voices talked about the pressure, the emotional cost, and the long road to rebuilding both career and self. Woods eventually made a comeback, winning again and showing incredible resilience. Still, the events of 2009 remain a sharp reminder of how quickly public life can unravel. Dustin Johnson. In 2014, Dustin Johnson stepped away from the PGA Tour, with official statements calling it a voluntary break to deal with personal matters. But almost immediately, rumors began to swirl. Stories about failed tests and other problems spread quickly through the media and online chatter. The tour kept details private, sticking to its policy of not disclosing disciplinary actions. When Johnson returned, most major outlets focused on his victories and comeback, not on the reasons behind his time away. That silence left fans curious and kept questions alive about what really happened during that mysterious break from competition. Grayson Murray. Grayson Murray was open about his struggles with drinking, depression, and anxiety. While many athletes try to hide their problems, Murray spoke out on social media and in interviews, sharing his pain and asking for better support within professional golf. His honesty started important conversations about mental health in a sport that often avoids the topic. By speaking so openly, Murray showed that being vulnerable can also be a form of strength. His story is a reminder that the pressure of professional sports can bring real challenges that go far beyond the game itself. Vijay Singh. Vijay Singh admitted to using a deer antler spray that was later linked to growth hormone, saying he didn't realize it could be a problem. The PGA Tour opened an investigation, and the case sparked questions about how clearly doping rules are made and enforced. Later, international agencies changed their position on the substance, and the case faded. But Singh then sued the tour, saying the whole situation hurt his reputation and cost him endorsements. His story shows how unclear rules and shifting standards can seriously damage a career and affect how fans and sponsors see a player. Mark Lai. Mark Lai went from being a professional golfer to working as a broadcaster, but in 2022, a few blunt comments he made about women's basketball on air cost him his radio job. His remarks drew heavy criticism, and SiriusXM quickly let him go. The story grabbed headlines for a short time, but it also sparked bigger conversations about respect, cultural change, and how sports media deals with controversial opinions. The quick fallout showed just how fast a public figure can lose their platform when their words go against wider social expectations. Kirk. Chris Kirk stepped away from golf to get help for alcoholism and depression, and later made his return to competition. He often said his recovery was possible because of hard work and the support of his family and friends. When he came back and won again, the media focused on his victories, but they rarely showed the long road it took to get there, the therapy, the tough conversations, and the daily choices that make recovery possible. Kirk's story is a reminder that real success isn't just about trophies, it's also about healing and the unseen effort that goes into rebuilding a life. Mac O'Grady. Mac O'Grady was a talented golfer, but his fiery personality often got him into trouble. He clashed with officials and administrators, and his confrontational style led to fines and suspensions. Over time, he faded from the spotlight, as golf tended to push aside players who didn't fit its usual image. His career shows how the sport often highlights marketable stars while leaving behind those with more complicated or difficult reputations. Duval. David Duval climbed to world number 1 and even won a major, but then his game fell apart in a way that shocked fans. Injuries, health problems, and personal tragedies all chipped away at his confidence and performance. TV coverage mostly followed his scores and rankings, but it rarely dug into the deeper struggle, the slow loss of self-belief that can break even the best players. Duval's story is a clear reminder that decline in sports isn't always about swing changes or mechanics. Often, it's the fragile mental and emotional battles that quietly bring a champion down. Ken Green. Ken Green lived through a devastating car crash that took the lives of close family members and led to the amputation of his lower leg. Despite the tragedy, he tried to return to the Champions Tour using a prosthetic, showing remarkable courage and determination. Most reports focused on the accident itself, but far less was said about the deep grief, the lonely recovery, and the emotional weight he carried. Green's story is a reminder of a kind of strength that goes beyond trophies and highlights, a strength that often happens out of sight and doesn't fit neatly into sports coverage. Golf may be remembered for its champions and picture-perfect moments, but the truth is far messier. Behind the trophies and applause are stories of downfall, scandal, and pain that the sport would rather keep hidden. These aren't the highlights fans celebrate. They're the shadows that linger long after the cheers fade. And in the end, these are the stories too dark for ESPN. If you found this eye-opening, smash that like button, share it around, and subscribe so you never miss the next deep dive.